I want to tell you 3 reasons why it is that a problem in your neck may have everything to do with the dizziness or vertigo sensation that you're experiencing. Now, I will say this first and foremost, is if you've been having these kinds of symptoms for any length of time, it is important that you have an MRI of your brain. That way we can rule out all of the dangerous, scary kinds of stuff that could be going on there. But once that's done, and that's probably the majority of people, that you've already been to all of the specialists, you've had the tests, and they came back as, quote, being normal. And so you're left scratching your head, okay, well, what do you do? What do you do about this? So here's how your neck can have an impact as far as what's going on. What we're dealing with something like dizziness vertigo. It's not something that you can have surgery to take out, because if there's nothing going on in the MRI, there's nothing you can do. So it's more of a functional kind of disturbance. Think of it, if you would, as a computer virus. It's not something that you can see, but it's something that's going to change the way that the processor is going to work. And when we're talking about dizziness and vertigo, the processor is your brain. So it's something that is affecting the way that your brain is able to process information. And because as human beings we stand upright, there is very extensive networks of nerves there, and they are very, very sensitive. That if there is some kind of dysfunction or disruption to the system, dizziness is usually actually one of the very first things that's going to come about. I would say even more common than pain, but that's just my observation. So what are these systems that I'm talking about? The first one is going to be blood flow. So you've got major sources of blood flow up into your brain. It's going to be coming from the front of your neck here, going to go in towards the front portion. And then you've got a pair of little arteries that go up the back of your neck, and these are the ones that are going to be supplying blood flow to your brain stem, which is your vital life center. And it's also going to be going to a structure of, or number of cells called the cerebellum. And the cerebellum is the major hub of balance, processing, coordination centers. So if you've got disruption of blood flow going up to the brain, number one, that is one very common reason why you might be getting dizziness or vertigo. Number two is the alignment or the positioning of the neck. The particular emphasis is on the top two. They have a profound impact on the flow of cerebrospinal fluid, which is the liquid medium that protects your brain, gives it its nourishment, gives it its energy, etc., etc. And so this fluid, it normally is circulating in the head, turning over all of the time like that. It's pretty similar to your pulse, but here's the thing. What we're seeing in research is that if you've got something that's misaligned in the neck, what it produces is it produces a local current, kind of like an eddy or a cross current thing like this. And so what will happen is a person could actually be sensitive to these disruptions, and so they say, oh, it feels like something is, quote, swimming in my head. Oftentimes is going to be associated with dizziness, where the world necessarily isn't spinning, but where it might feel like you're on a rocky boat moving like that. So potential disruption of the fluid inside the brain, this may also be responsible. The third one's really, really interesting, and this one here, it's going to be along the ideas of information overload. So your head has to sit atop of your neck, and it's going to maintain balance by keeping your eyes level to the horizon. So generally speaking, people don't walk around this way. Brain doesn't like it. It's going to try to balance the system out as much as possible. So in order to maintain this balance, we have all kinds of nerve receptors in the neck going all the way up, and in particular right up at the top, there's a series of muscles located right under the base of the skull. They're called suboccipital muscles, and these muscles, they're not really designed for movement. They're designed more of a balance organ. They're sending more information to the brain than anywhere else that we know of in the spine in order to keep this thing upright. But if you've had some kind of an injury that's disrupted either the alignment or the motion of these, so if you have a misalignment involving these upper bones in the neck, what it can cause is it can cause this altered information going up to the brain about where things are in open space. So think of it like garbage information or static. And if this information gets into the system where it's normally able to be processed, what it's going to be doing is it's going to be creating this disharmony, this incoherence, to where your brain is getting mixed signals. And that can also then produce this sensation where a person is feeling imbalanced when in fact they are actually standing still. One way or another, And this especially, if you've been dealing with dizziness vertigo for a long period of time, again, rule out problems with the inner ear. That's important. But then also be sure that you're checking to see what is happening with the neck. Too often, I find that this very important part of the body, it is completely missed. And it's also so important, so related to what's going on with dizziness vertigo conditions, that when we have a look and find out, okay, wow, we've got these different things going on here. And you know what? They can affect blood flow to the brain, they can affect the circulation of fluid on the inside, and they can also affect the way that your brain's able to process information. That if we can resolve those kinds of underlying issues there, that suddenly many of these vertigo and dizziness issues start to go away on their own. So this is a slightly different perspective maybe than you've come across before, but I hope that you've enjoyed this little video here. If you have, a couple of things. Number one, be sure to like it, be sure to share it, be sure to subscribe, and if then you can also think of somebody else who, wow, they really need to hear this information, maybe they haven't considered dizziness or vertigo from the neck, please do forward this information on to them. We'll also provide you a few links so that you can also check out a little bit more information, what this is all about, what this relation is between the neck, the brain, and how it can be related to dizziness or vertigo. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you the next time. This is Dr. Jeffrey Hanna at Atlas Health Australia, the Brain and Body Connection.